Welcome to Rolling Town Talks. I'm your host, Lincoln Jones, and I'm here with...
And I'm Nick Marini, here with Bruno Marini of Salvo Marini Stone Masonry.
How are you? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for coming on to the show. So first off, we want to ask you, how did you get into this business and how did you start?
Okay. Well, I actually didn't go right into masonry. I actually went, which is not common, but I went to college, got a degree, then I went and worked for a while. And then actually I got married, and my brother-in-law, your uncle, actually asked me if I would be interested in going into business with him, which was kind of crazy because I had never done masonry before. I had no prior experience. And so so this June will be 23 years that we started our masonry business.
It's very nice. Describe the process you go through when working with these clients of your stone masonry. How does it start from somebody to the finished product?
Okay, there's two ways it usually happens. Either we get contacted from a landscape architect office where they will supply us with drawings that we would follow, but we would also bid on the project. If we are the winning bidder, then we would then talk with the client and go over all the plans and all the materials prior to starting. Another way could be a direct homeowner can call me. And at that point, they may or may not have a design, and we would kind of go through the design together. They would tell me what they were looking for. They may have some pictures in mind. And then we would start the project. So it's two ways. It's not always the same.
I'm hearing what you're saying about the landscape and all that. Would you say that networking is really important when trying to get continuing the business, to keep
Absolutely. Networking is probably the most important thing. Obviously, you'd like to work with landscape architects. They tend to give you a lot of projects, but working with builders, there's always, in a new build, in a new construction, there's always some sort of masonry involved, whether it's a new chimney, whether it's the front stoop. A lot of people don't think of it, but there's quite a bit of masonry on a new build. So we do work with builders as well. So it's definitely, networking is probably the most important thing.
So in these builds you're talking about, how many would you say you've done in total, and maybe how many have you done on average per year? Okay,
we don't really look at it as the number of projects because we can get on a project that would be quite large for our company. We're a company of 8 people. It's myself, my brother-in-law, who are partners, and then we have 6 employees. So we could find ourselves on a job that can take us 5 to 6 months. So we're not really doing too many other jobs at that point. Or if we don't have a large job, we could be doing multiple jobs. So the number of jobs really doesn't really explain everything. So the bigger the job, the less we do. The smaller the job, the more of them that we will end up doing.
Do you find it difficult when you bounce from job to job, because you also have to worry about the guys and where to put them, and also yourself? Do you ever find it kind of difficult? Wow, I have a lot to do. I'd
say it's challenging. In the beginning, it was definitely challenging because what you don't want to do is you don't want to end one project and then start one. Because when you have 6 guys, you may not need 6 guys to start the job. So the way we plan it is, as we're getting close to one job, a couple people will pull off and start another job and get that job going. So try to keep the rhythm going, and we don't have as much downtime.
When it comes to these jobs and projects, what are some specific examples that they ask you to do for them?
The majority of them, I would say, are patios or terraces. The common material around this area in Lower Fairfield County tends to be bluestone or flagstone, which is quite common. And then another big part of the job would be stonework, like stone veneer, stone walls, retaining walls. Those tend to be common as well. So I think that those two. And then a little bit less, but still prominent, would be chimneys on houses, fireplaces.
Obviously, being based in Wilton, do you find yourself doing a lot of jobs for local addresses here in Wilton?
We do. I wouldn't say a lot. I think we do a lot of work in the neighboring towns as well. So I would say Wilton's included, but Litchfield, New Canaan, Westport, Weston. So we definitely service, the community here.
What is like your like favorite like types of like projects to complete, would you say, personally?
Tough to say. I mean, we do some interesting projects. Like we've done some pretty unique fountains. Those tend to be really fun. Using the use of a millstone as the fountain feature. Those tend to be interesting, but a lot of the work doesn't really change as much when you're talking with what would change more so is the type of material. Like there's granites and flagstones and limestones, but I think for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
From a customer's perspective, when they hire you, like what could they expect from you, like regarding your services and just your overall like company experience?
In our particular case, what they can expect is there's an owner will always be on the job site from start to finish, whether it's myself or my partner. When we start the contact from the phone call, and we go out and meet the customer from that point to the job completion, they can contact me. I'm there all the time, and we just see the project all the way through. So I think that's probably one of the most important things.
What like challenges could you say that do you face in this like industry?
I think competition is always going to be a challenge. I think it's definitely expanded where when I first started in this industry, everyone kind of stayed in their own lane, so to speak. Like you had your landscapers did landscaping, stonemasons did stonemasons, and so on and so forth. And I think a lot of that water kind of muddied over the years, so it's getting a little more challenging, a little more competitive now, where other industries that didn't necessarily do stonemasonry years ago are starting to get into the industry. So I would say competition is probably the toughest right now.
Would you say that transition with companies trying to maximize more than just one type of trade has impacted your company, or you guys, has that had a big impact with you guys, or?
It's impacted slightly, sure. I mean, you find yourself bidding a lot more jobs. You may not get as many jobs as you were in years previous, but having been in business for 23 years, the good part of that is you do have repeat customers, and you do have a lot of experience, and that tends to help sell the job as well.
All right, well that's very interesting for everything you've told us so far, and thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Lincoln with Rolling Town Talks.
I'm Nick Marini, and this is Bruno Marini from Marini Stonemasonry saying goodbye.